Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he's 21 years old, and he's going to share his story about events that happened about 2 years ago with his very first girlfriend. His very first unbelievably needy and clingy girlfriend. And you're going to see in this story, guys, pretty quick how quickly her crazy signs start to come out. And I'm doing this one to help you guys out that do dating relationships, to make sure that you know the signs of these types of gals and to avoid them like the plague. Because they're going to bring all sorts of turmoil and drama into your life. Now, what makes a gal unbelievably needy, unbelievably clingy? Well, that could be a lot of things. At the end of the day, it really does boil down to insecurity. Okay? And gals like that are going to, they may have daddy issues. They may have abandonment issues. Who knows? But ones like that will always be up your butt. They will always be bugging you all the time, wanting to be with you all the time, calling you all the time, texting you all the time, wanting your attention 24/7. If they could get your attention while you were asleep somehow, they would want that. And no matter what you do, what you say, it's never enough attention for them. It's never enough to fulfill their insecurities. And so that's why it's best that guys avoid them like the plague. And then what will happen if you get involved with one of them and you break up with them, they unleash the Kraken. They unleash the real crazy when you break up with them, and they won't leave you the hell alone and all the crap they bring in your life, which is going to happen to this guy. And guys, by the way, I got to mention this. I don't care. A lot of you guys might think that, okay, I can recognize a crazy gal. I can tell by her eyes she's crazy. I can recognize that she's needy and all that, but she's really hot, SSM. Guys, I don't care how huge her boobs are, or how tightly shaped and amazing looking her ass is, or how she does stuff in the sack that'll make an adult film star blush. It's not worth it. I'm telling you now. And you may think, that's okay, SSM. I may hook up with her a couple times and then I'll leave and move on. Well, number one, good luck there, because a lot of guys have said that and done that and didn't work out. They get attached right away. And two, even a couple times, and then she's after you. And you don't need, I'm sure many of you guys have seen or heard of the movie Fatal Attraction. You don't need these little younger version of Glenn Close's tracking you down. If you haven't seen that movie, watch it. So, I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to point all these things out where this guy's gone wrong, and hopefully his story, aside from being entertaining as all hell, will help you young guys not make the same mistake. So, starts off, he says, Hi SSM, long-time watcher of yours, and I finally thought of sending you my own little story about my first girlfriend. A common friend of ours, and the crazy fest that it became. See right there, the crazy fest. It says, firstly, I'm currently a 21-year-old dude, not the best looking guy, and slightly overweight, but I've been doing some progress in that department. Well, good for you, man. Eat well, hit the gym, exercise. You're 21, for God's sakes. Even if you're overweight, you can get rid of that pretty quickly. It's easy when you're 21. When you're in your 40s and 50s, a lot harder. When the girl and I first met, we were at some Japanese courses way before COVID hit, and it started out casual enough, even though she was a bit weird in some regards. Define a bit weird. Clearly right then and there were some red flags. But here's the deal, guys. He was obviously younger. This was his first girlfriend. He didn't have the experience that a lot of guys had, so he gets somewhat of a pass for some of the things he ignored and screw-ups he did. But he won't get that a second time if this happens again. He says, now, even if I say she's weird, she was by no means unattractive. Her face, I would say, around a 7 out of 10, but she had a 9 out of 10 body. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we know why he overlooked some of the crazy. Told you. We got along just fine and also had some common hobbies like video games, cycling, and cooking. But she was on a level of clinginess that I would not have thought possible of a human being. So you saw it right away. Now an experienced guy would recognize this and say, run for the hills. Don't get serious with her. Certainly don't get, just avoid her. You're around her a couple times, couple dates. You see the clinginess. You're like, okay, well, it was good having drinks with you, but that's it. At first, I tried my best to deal with it. Since it was my first girlfriend, I didn't have much experience, but it was clear she had some social issues, and possibly even things like depression. As the days went on, we almost got close enough to initiate some bedroom fun, but it was cut short by COVID pandemic hitting and everybody being sent into lockdown. So you're already dealing with some of the neediness and the crazy, and you haven't hooked up yet? Now the lockdown has happened. That was when the clinginess that I already thought was excessive was starting to overflow. The phone calls that were usually 3 hours long, with her insisting we FaceTime and I look at her all the time, became to 5 to 6 hours. And there was one time where we even had a 7-hour call. Smack. Bro, how do you have enough time in the day to spend 5 to 6 hour phone calls or Zoom sessions? I mean, I know it was the lockdown, I remember it all, but then you have college courses to study for. Didn't he have other friends to talk to? Didn't he have, maybe you were with family at that point, them to talk to? Other things going on? You were enabling her behavior. As the man, you need to lead the relationship and say, I got other things to do. Sure, we can talk a little bit, but we're not doing these 5 to 6 hour talk Zoom fest or whatever the hell they were, texting fest or talking fest. And by the way, now she was obviously so clingy and all that, but normally when a guy is that available, that turns a woman off because they want a guy they have to chase. But since she's obviously screwed up and clingy and needy, you back away. It's only going to make her chase after you more, which you're going to see. But no, you're a young guy and you're a young guy on his grind, on his purpose. You don't have time for all this. And you should have drawn a line in the sand saying no. Or better yet, you should have ended it with her. It says here, I tried my best to bear with it, but it got to the point when I saw her name on the caller ID, I felt like I was going to throw up. Then that was a sign to end it with her. If you just, it became like a chore, became work to talk to her, then break up with her. You're not married to her, for God's sakes. Sounds like you didn't even hook up yet, right? But you see what I told you about, guys? No amount of time is going to be enough for them, right? If they could find a way to get your attention, you to pay attention while you're sleeping, they would do it. It says around 2 months after I couldn't handle it anymore, I stopped answering the messages as often as I could and sometimes will not even answer calls. In those 2 months, she said I was cold and felt like I wasn't putting effort into the relationship anymore, which weirdly enough made her pay even more attention to me. How many times I tell you guys, when women have to chase your attention when they're unsure of where they stand with you, unsure about the status of the relationship or whatever, that makes them chase and pursue more, trying to get your validation. Well, obviously you were giving her plenty of your ridiculous amount of time, but it wasn't enough for her. And when you start backing away, she chased more. Remember her being a 9 out of 10? Not worth it now, huh? After the two aforementioned months, I decided this wasn't for me anymore, or her, since I can't provide her the attention level she wants, and she doesn't get the attention level she wants, so we broke up, or more like I said, we're breaking up, and told her to stop messaging me and calling me. That is when the stalking began. Well, we could all see that coming a mile away. Now, what you should have done was, instead of just saying, that's it, we're breaking up, stop messaging, stop calling, what you should have done was, at the very least, explain why. I had a great time with you, but it's gotten to be too much. You want my attention all the time, blah, 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 blah. Yes, that probably wouldn't matter too much, but at least you'd say that. You'd make it abundantly clear. I would do it on text or email, so there's a written record of this. And that way that it can never be said that you didn't say the reason why you're breaking up with her. Because in her mind, you're just breaking up with me because you're mean. Watch what happens. It says here, that's when the stalking began. Apparently she had gotten to stalking some of my social media and in real life when I had rare opportunities to go out. I didn't actually notice this until I made a comment on a social media about a girl who was a bit bigger. Since I thought she looked nice, and lo and behold, about an hour later, our common friend called me and told me that I'm an a-hole and a pig. This common friend, I'm going to guess this common friend is a girl, and obviously she's taking the side of your ex-girlfriend. Now, I would do one of two things. I would either take the phone and go click, hang up on her, or I would say, you don't call me, insulting me, giving me crap. Now, here's what's going on. And even then, I probably wouldn't give an explanation. But you don't call me and talk to me like that. This is ridiculous. It's not your business. And if she then won't apologize or not give you a reasonable, not listen to you, click block her. Because you don't need people like that in your life. You want people in your life that are supportive of you, not going to bring a whole bunch of turmoil and drama. And it's always funny when these girls, they don't like how things are going, so they get their friends all text you and call you and all that stuff. Block. You know, I've had people in the comments and emails sometimes say, SSM, you're too harsh. You're too quick to cut people out of your life. Well, let me tell you something, guys. When you get to about 40 years old and you've seen and dealt with enough BS in your life, you reach the point that you can just see it a mile away. And you cut people off because you don't need it. And I think a lot of the guys out there that are in their 40s and up, you know who you are. You do the same thing because you've done that. But people that are younger, 20s, 30s, that not as much the life experience as I have, believe me, you'll see one day. Trust me. Anyhow, I was very confused since this common friend of ours was someone I got along with very well. Doesn't matter. It's a chick. She then told me that the comment I made was very harmful to my now ex, since she had a thinner body, and if that was the reason that we broke up, that I'm just a petty, shallow pig, and that my ex felt that remark was made against her. It's not your problem. You're broken up now. And why is she stalking your social media? And I might add, back to the whole reason why you told her why you broke up with her. Not because of her body, but because she was clingy and psycho. I wouldn't use psycho, but you know what I mean. Better let them down easy, and that way they'll stop bothering you as much. Possibly. I then told her it was not my intention, and I had no idea my ex even knew my social media accounts to begin with, which I was quite shocked by, and to that she apologized and said that my ex was a bit crazy, which I personally think is an understatement. Okay, now that this so-called friend is aware of this and apologized, okay, she gets a little bit of a pass, but I make it clear, do not call me again, fucking throwing insults my way or anything like that, or we're not going to be friends. My ex then constantly messaged me saying she was sorry for what she said, and I, being the blue pill white knight that I was, said I accept the apology, but asked her once again to no longer message me at all, to which she didn't comply, and that landed her in Blocktown. Yeah, you had no choice. She won't leave you. At first, you obviously didn't want to have to block her, and you knew it would set her off, but she just wouldn't let up. So then you had to block her, and now it's going to make it worse. Remember, guys, you spot the crazy early on. You spot the red flags. You don't need this in your life. And remember, guys, so many guys get into trouble because they are going down the white knight, nice guy path. They think it's their job to fix the girl, be her therapist. You know, you don't need that. Life is short. If some gal has issues, let some other naive jackass be her therapist and fix her, or let her get professional. It's not your problem, because if you do, you invite all this crap into your life. And as young men who are working hard to better themselves and on their grind, on their purpose, trying to be the best they can be, you don't need this crazy in your life screwing things up for you. My ex being blocked apparently really set her off, since she started ranting to our common friend about how mean I was, and blocking was the only thing that she doesn't want at all. Even if I were to be mean or spiteful in my messages, and I told her that I wasn't going to unblock her since I told her stop messaging me, and she completely ignored me. Of course she ignored you. She can't take rejection. What I tell you guys about women and rejection makes them absolutely crazy. But this chick was crazy to begin with. A couple months later, when the restrictions were eased down a little, I began going out with my friends again. Sometimes on a little bike tour of the city. Other times just walking and chatting. The usual thing with the bros. When I crossed paths with, you guessed it, my ex. She probably found a way to find out where you were, when you were there, just to accidentally run into you. Since she went up to me and said hello, I wasn't going to be rude and tell her to F off or anything like that. And since she was hard to ignore, I just told her that I'm busy and I have to get going. And since I wasn't straight up rude or disrespectful, in her head, she concocts the idea that we might still be a thing or become a thing again, which I heard from a common friend. To which I told her she was absolutely insane. And not being mean or rude doesn't mean that I like you or barely tolerate you. Well, because she's obviously so hooked on you, and she's desperate, and she has this attachment in her crazy ass mind, yes, by you not being rude or mean, in her mind, oh, he's obviously warming up to me. Maybe he misses me. He's not being as mean as before, so maybe I have a chance with him again. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity. And it's unfortunate where you don't want to be a jerk. At least most of us don't want to be jerks. But in a way, you kind of have to get them to get the freaking idea through their head. As this time, our common friend also started to see she's a bit of a nut job, but would only talk to her for the sake of politeness. But on that good part, she'd keep me updated if there were to be any more harebrained ideas from my ex. Well, that's good, you got a warning. About a month later after that incident, as I'd gone out even more, I'd gone to a couple parties and met some people, which enjoyed to take photos more than I did. So there I was in a nice picture on my social media next to a girl who seemed to enjoy using my arm as a body pillow. Pictures of you with a girl, huh? Probably a good-looking girl. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen next. Which made my ex really go bonkers. From what the girl and her friends told me, a couple of days later, my ex added her to friends and started saying spiteful things and straight-up lies about me. How I was a womanizer and only liked fat chicks. And if she didn't weigh more than a truck, then it wouldn't get up. In other words, she's saying you can't get it up for thin chicks, only fat girls. Insulting you. She can't get her way with you. Now she has to go with personal attacks because she's upset that you broke up with her. Again, guys, like I said in the beginning, when you spot the red flags, the crazy, the clinginess, the neediness, cut ties right away. And all it takes is hooking up a couple times. And this guy sounds like he didn't even hook up with her. Imagine if he actually hooked up with her for a few months. Then she'd really have an attachment. You think it's bad now. It says, truth be told, I was no longer shocked by this behavior right now. I was just disgusted. Now, I'm lucky that the craziness stopped following me. Only after me and the girl, which I'll call Azure, thanks to her beautiful blue eyes, started going out. But only after a couple more months of messaging, hitting caller IDs with spam calls and more vindictive comments. I think you're well within your rights, man, at this point to, since you were young at the time, you were like 19, obviously you're a kid, to obviously speak to somebody you can trust, an adult like your parents or an uncle or somebody, say, look, this is what's going on here. I'm being harassed. How best to handle it? Now, hopefully you would have said to somebody that has a brain, because, if you said to someone like your mom would be like, oh, she's just heartbroken, ignore her. No, you listen to a guy, and he'd probably tell you, maybe you want to speak to the police if this gets out of hand, or mom or dad will take me to an attorney about restraining order, because this is over the top. You're being harassed. And your girl is being harassed too. It says, our common friend became just my friend alone. And me, Azure, are still going steady with a good relationship, which we each have enough space not to feel suffocated by one another. And well, we're having fun. That's all I can say. Thank you for taking the time to read my little story, and maybe there are people out there who will enjoy it. Bro, there are going to be tens of thousands of people out around the world that will enjoy your story, because everybody loves a story with a crazy gal. So there you go, guys. A perfect example of the needy, clingy types and why you don't get involved with them. Why are they that way? Who knows? It all comes down to insecurity. Again, it could be daddy issues, abandonment issues. It could be any number of things. But at the end of the day, it's not your freaking problem, so don't get involved with them. All those hours he was spending with her to Zoom and Skype and talk on the phone wasn't enough for her. It got longer and longer. And again, I was like, dude, you're in college. You shouldn't be studying or talking to other buddies or doing what you like to do all that time with her. And again, if she could find a way to get attention from him while he slept somehow, she would have done that. And again, it's never enough. And any of you guys out there have been in relationships with these types that no matter how much attention you give them, it's never enough. And I know some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. You're nodding your head right now. You don't need that. You don't need that in your life. So avoid them. And again, remember he mentioned that her body was a 9 out of 10. There you go. I don't care how big her boobs are. I don't care how great her ass is. I don't care what she does to you in the sack. That is nothing compared to the drama that's going to come into your life. So avoid them like the plague. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below and just think about this. Let me know, guys. Let's hear your stories or experiences with the needy, clingy types. What kind of drama and turmoil did it bring into your life? And how long did it take you to finally get them out of your life? Because it's not like you're going to break up with them and they'll just leave you alone. Look at this story. This went on for months, right? And also, guys, if you got a really good story like to share, something that happened, I don't care what happened last week or 25 years ago, I don't care. It's a good story. Send it my way, strongsuccessfulmail@gmail.com. Make sure you write out really well. Make it easy for me to read. And if it definitely works, I'll cover it later on down the road. I'm covering stories sometimes that people sent me months ago. So just give me time and I'll get to it if it works. And this also includes good articles or stories. And if you come across a crazy story or something really entertaining and out there, email me that too, because I can use it for my other channel. And if you guys haven't checked out my other channel, which is really taken off now, it's called They Did What. There'll be a link in the description. And it's all focused on more of the Reddit type of crazy, entertaining type of stories. I do a lot less teaching and coaching in there, more reading, if as best I can, because I can't shut the fuck up sometimes. But anyhow, I do my best. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.